everybody, this is Laura, City Scrapper. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel today. Today I have a layout that I made for a Punched Out Thursday to Die For and for the Best of Christie's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches, Day 2. The sketch for today is by Susanna Lee, and for this layout I'm using a collection that has been in my stash for a very, very long time. It is a collection by American Crafts, and it's called the Margarita collection. It definitely has a summer vibe. And the photo that I'm going to be using is a photo of my daughter from quite a few years ago. And she was doing a split, it looks like, on the bottom of somebody's pool. And apparently somebody had an underwater camera. I used two different pattern papers, and I just cut an L shape out of the corner of two different papers. In the background, I'm adding some mixed media to a piece of heavy white gessoed paper. I'm using some Dylusions sprays, and I'm also using Lindy's Starburst spray. The Dylusions sprays are called London Blue and Vibrant Turquoise, and the Lindy spray is called Blue Hawaiian Blue. I used two different pattern papers on this page. I'm using a floral that you saw right there. That is a 2-inch strip. I cut 2 inches along the side and then along the bottom of a piece of pattern paper. And then I did the same thing for the other, I guess it's kind of an arrow shape. I cut 1 1/4 inches off of the side and the bottom of this yellow dotted piece of paper that you will see in a little while. And those are going to be the two shapes similar to the ones that you see in the sketch. Earlier, I traced around the outside of them with a pencil just so I would know where to put the mixed media. I used a piece of plastic to apply the color to the background, and then I used a heat tool and I dried the color. Now I'm sprinkling on some water, and then I will roll the paper towel on top of it that will pick up just little tiny areas of color, and it makes a cool effect on the background. It looks like little drops of water. I do this several times. You can't really see where you're splattering or what's going to have the droplets on it until you lift them up with a paper towel. So I put droplets on more than once because I wanted to have lots of these little water droplet looking marks on my background. I was thinking that it would look nice to have a white border around each of these strips of paper. So I used a piece of white cardstock, and I again cut an L shape out of the side and the bottom of one of the sheets of paper, and I was able to use the same piece of paper to make both of the white L-shaped papers that I'm using to back these strips of paper. I used some ATG adhesive to attach them down, and here I'm just lining them up, making sure that I have the same amount of mat on all the sides of the pattern paper. I trimmed the shapes back a little bit, but I have to trim them more once I have them positioned on the paper. At the very beginning of the video, I was checking my measurements. I had drawn a small dot with a pencil in the center of the paper at 6 inches. And then I measured up the right-hand side and the left-hand side, and I made a very tiny mark at 7.5 inches. And then I used those marks just now to position the blue floral paper on the background. That helped me to place it so that it would be symmetrical on the layout. And then I'm using that as a guide and placing the yellow piece of paper. I'm also using my T-square to make sure that everything is lined up. A lot of this will be covered up by the photo, but I didn't want anything to be out of line, so I figured it was best to just measure. So now I have the mixed media done and I have the pattern paper attached down. Now I'm going to be attaching down this photo. I am using another piece of pattern paper from the collection. It's an orange and pink piece of paper, and then I thought that it stood out from the other papers that I already had down on the layout. And I usually like to give my photo a little bit of dimension, but on this layout I decided I was just going to make everything flat and attach it directly to the page. Here I'm making sure that I am putting the photo down the layout straight. And now I'm making some photo corners. I'm using an EK Success photo corner punch. This is the only punch that I use on this layout, but this is one of my very favorite punches. I'm using just little scraps of paper to cut out some photo corners that have different colored stripes on them. and I'm using a pocket card. I didn't have too many embellishments for this collection, but I did have a pack of these cards, and they came in pretty handy on this layout. This strip of striped paper is very, very thin. I was really struggling with getting a complete photo corner because it was just the right thickness for that punch, but there was no extra, so I had to be really careful about how I punched. And now I'm just using some more adhesive to attach these down to the photo. So I was trying to think what else I could put on this layout. I didn't want to put anything beach themed because it's not the beach, and I didn't have really too much that was pool themed. So I was looking through some of the pattern papers, and I found this branding strip that has all the different colors, and I thought it would be perfect. The only problem is it had a little tiny bit of a pink strip of the pattern paper that was still on the edge. So I attached it down to a larger piece of paper in order to cut it out. I find that if I'm trying to cut a very small piece of paper, that can sometimes go very wrong. But I find that when I attach it to a bigger piece of paper and then cut it, it usually works out better. I put that on the bottom of the layout. I like the way it was all the different colors of the collection, and it's very colorful, and it almost looked like tiles on the side of the pool. Now I'm going to work on the title. My daughters helped me come up with this title, or I should say they didn't help me come up with it. They came up with it. The title is going to be Blue Suits You. My daughter Julia is known for loving blue. She was obsessed with the color blue when she was little. And because the entire photo is blue and her suit is blue, they came up with Blue Suits You. And I thought that was really cute. It's kind of like a pun, and I never would have come up with something like that, and it's a little bit better than some of the titles that I sometimes come up with. So I'm layering some paper together. I use some close to my heart letter dies, and then I cut out some blue letters out of a pocket card, and then I also cut those same letters out of white cardstock. I layered 2 layers of the white cardstock, and then I attached the pattern paper letter on top. And then I used some Distress Oxide in Blueprint Sketch, and I inked the edges of all of those letters. Now I'm using some ATG adhesive, and I'm attaching those down to the layout. To write the Suits You part of the title, I'm using some letters. They're called Mondo Llama alphabet stickers. My older daughter Danielle got them for me in Target. She saw them there, and she thought that they would be a good addition to my stash, so she picked them up for me. They look suspiciously similar to the Paige Evans letters. They're all different colors. I wish that they were more colors. It turned out that a lot of the letters that I used were yellow or a shade of yellow, but it turned out to, I thought, look pretty good. There is some variation in the color. The Y is red and the O is blue and the I is purple. And even though there's no other purple on the page, I thought that that purple letter was fine because it's the same intensity as the colors on the rest of the layout. It's just as bright as the pattern papers and the title. And originally for the I cut the number 1 down and made that into an I, but it turned out that I preferred the purple I anyway, so that's what I used. And I'm using my T-square to make sure they're all lined up, and they were fairly easy to line up. I was happy about that. There are some circular shapes that I cut out of some other pocket cards. Good thing that I had that set of pocket cards, and I just thought they added a nice embellishment to the page. I don't want to go too overboard with them. I just want to add a little accent and something different than just the pattern paper stripes that I had on the layout. So right now I'm arranging them, trying to decide where to put all of the different sizes and the different colors. And I was thinking of putting some on the upper left-hand corner, so I placed some there for a little while. As I said, I couldn't think of any pool-related embellishments that I had, but then I was thinking that I did have a sticker sheet or 2 that I got when my daughter was on the diving team. So when I saw some swim team stickers on sale, I thought I could pick a couple of those out and use them on her pages. So I used one of the stickers from one of those sheets. So I placed that sticker underneath the photo. Then I added some iridescent blue dots to the layout. I wanted it to look like the bubbles that are in the photo were continuing, so I used those blue iridescent dots over the photo to kind of, like I said, continue the bubbles going upward. Those dots come in 3 different sizes and 3 different colors of blue, so I use a variety of those dots over the photo, and I also worked some in with the title and those circles that are around the title. I really love those iridescent paper studio dots. I like to keep them on hand for water layouts, beach layouts, things like that. I decided I was going to add some of those fussy cut circles in the upper left-hand corner. Not a ton. I don't want to have too much going on because I already have quite a bit going on with those large pieces of pattern paper and the mixed media in the background, but I did want to add a couple. Once I had those circles arranged the way I wanted them, I attached them right down to the layout using some ATG adhesive. I didn't fuss around with them like I normally do. I made my decision of where I wanted them rather quickly for me. And now I'm adding some of the dots to those circles as well, just to tie everything together. And this photo was taken in 2015. I'm trying to work on my younger daughter Julia's album from 2015. So this is one of the photos that I have in that album, and I was really looking forward to scrapbooking this one. I think this is a cool photo. I added some enamel dots to the photo corners. I decided to add 4 different colors. I used orange, pink, green, and yellow, and I picked out a medium-sized enamel dot of each of those colors, and then I just stuck them right down to the photo corner. And I didn't want to add too many enamel dots. I already have those iridescent dots. So I picked out some really, really tiny, the smallest of the enamel dots to put in the centers of all those circles. I just thought that it kind of finished them off and made them look a little bit more like embellishments rather than just pieces of paper. So for those, I used some green, some yellowish orange, and some blue enamel dots. And I just chose the colors based on the colors of the circles. And then I was thinking that I wanted the bubbles that were kind of coming off of the photo to look a little bit different than the dots that were on the title and in the upper left-hand corner. So now I'm adding some clear dots to that cluster. These are also Paper Studio dots, and they are extremely shiny, and I thought that they were a good addition to that cluster. And that completes this layout. Here are some close-ups. Please take a look in the description box. You will find links to the channels of all of the ladies participating in a Punched Out Thursday to Die For, and then all of the links to the channels and the videos of all of the scrapbookers who are taking part in Best of Christy's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will see you again next Thursday when I'll be back with another Punched Out Thursday to Die For. Have a great day, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.